Today we're going to first start off the men's big luxurious sock pattern using the long tail cast on called the Norwegian cast on. I'm going to use a short tail for the demonstration. When I get ready to start my socks, it'll be about 2 yards worth of tail. Start with my slip knot, that through, then hold the yarn just like you would for a regular cast on. Grab it with your 3 fingers, take your fingers through the loop, there you go. Next, we're going to go underneath the 2 loops, or the 2 strings on your thumb, up and around. And then we're going to come over and grab the first string from your first finger, and I'm going to flip the thumb loop over and let go of it. You only have to hold on to it long enough to get your needle through there. Let's do that again. Up, around. And let's do it one more time just to make sure you got it. Underneath, around, flipping my thumb loop over, catching the first finger loop, and then going through that upside down thumb loop. There we go. Okay, so I finished my knit 1, purl 1 ribbing and my knit 2, purl 2 ribbing, which makes up the cuff and the top part of the sock. You can see how dense these tiny needles make it. We're using size 1 or 2.5 millimeter needles here. Next thing I need to do will be to transfer 6 stitches onto this needle number 3, which was originally loaded down with 20 stitches. First row is slip 1 and then purl. So that's, and this is a simple, there's the slip 1. And then we'll begin to purl. This heel flap pattern is really very simple and standard, often used pattern. Right there, we finished the first row, which was to slip 1 stitch and then purl the rest. Now we're going to turn the work over. The next row is slip 1, knit 1, and you repeat that pattern through the entire row. So we'll start by slipping the first stitch off and then knitting. Go there. There you go. Knitting our next stitch. These ones, just like the previous row, you want to make sure you do them loosely. Slip 1. Alright then, now we're going to continue on and repeat this set of rows, the purl 1 and slip 1 purl row and the knit 1, slip 1 knit 1 row until we've had a total of 9 sets or 18 rows, and then we'll repeat the slip 1 purl 1 row one more time before we can turn the heel. Okay, we're ready to turn our heel. We finished our heel flap. And we started our heel turn row by slipping 1 and then knitting 13. So now the next step is going to be to make the gap, which will provide shaping. To do so, we're going to do a slip, slip, knit stitch. So slip, whoops, that one was backwards. There we go. Slip, and knit. I have filmed this like twice. That was why one of my stitches was backwards. There we go, and then we knit 1. That'll provide the gap. You can see that gap starting up right there for the next row as part of our shaping. So that's one side set up. Let's get the next side set up. First we purl, and then, or slip rather, and then we purl 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we're going to purl 2 together to create the gap. Did it again. There we go. Purl 2 together to create the beginning of the gap, and 1 more. There we go. So now you can see we've got a gap there and we've got a gap there. So what we're going to be doing is working across back and forth, closing each gap and making a new one for the next level. We do that by first slipping a stitch and then knitting across. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's our gap, so we're going to SSK, slip, slip, and knit to close that gap, and create our new gap by knitting 1. So there's the new gap. Okay, and I'll show you one more row. Purl side, purl 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's the gap, so we'll close the gap by purling 2 together. And then we'll make one more purl. There you go. So there's our next, we've set up for our next gap right there. Alright, so we'll continue on knitting and purling, closing gaps, making new gaps to shape our heel until we get to the end. Then we'll move on to the gusset. We finished turning the heel, so we've got that nice shaping there. We've got all of our stitches onto one needle. And I've prepared to make the gusset, do the setup row for the gusset by putting the bottom stitches all onto one needle. So I now have 2 needles ready to go. So we're going to pick up stitches. You'll notice how they want to curl, the edge wants to curl in. So we turn the piece a little bit and you can see the stitches. So we'll pick up and knit off the edge here. 1, 2, 3, 4, just tiny one, 5. So we're going to go pick up and knit 11 stitches on this side. What we're going to do is divide the stitches here on this needle across the 2 so that there's an equal number on both sides. So across here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we're going to first knit 7 stitches onto this needle here. So we got 7 stitches there. Now we're going to transfer the rest of the stitches onto this needle here. As you're looking at the back of the piece, this is needle 1, this one down here will be needle 2, and this one over here is needle 3. So we've got the first beginning of the setup. The second row for the gusset setup is to knit needle 1, knit in pattern across needle 2, and then knit needle 3. So I'll do that, and then I'll come back and show you how to do the gusset reduction. So the next step is the rest of the gusset. So the first row of the gusset will be a reduction row, and the second row will be just like our setup row. Knit in pattern, or knit straight across, knit in pattern across needle 2, knit across needle 3. For the gusset reduction row, when we do these, we knit down to within 3 stitches of the last needle. Okay, we're ready for our reduction. On this side, we're going to do the slip, slip, knit stitch. So slip, slip, knit. There we go, and then knit our last one. All right, then we knit in pattern across. So our second reduction comes right here. So we knit our first one, knit. We're going to knit these two together, and then we're going to continue on and knit to the end of this needle. Alternate gusset reduction rows and regular rows until you have 13 stitches on needles 1 and 3. After that, you'll be working on the footbed. Continue on your piece until it measures 9 inches or 23 centimeters from the foot to the needles. We finished knitting the footbed to our sock here. From the heel to the needles measures 9 inches. I have finished the first row, so I've knit across all 3 needles once, and I'm working on the second row. So I've knit the first 10 stitches, and I'm down to the last 3 that are on the needle. To do the reduction for the toe, do a slip slip stitch knit stitch. There we go. And then we knit 1 here. And then we turn it over, and we're going to knit 2 together. So we knit the first stitch. Oops. Knit the first stitch, and then we'll knit 2 together. There we go. There we go. Okay, got those knit 2 together, and then knit 1 there. We'll turn and finish off the last needle. And then we're going to do a slip, slip. Oh, can't. Knit. And then I'll knit to the end of this row. Then the next row will be a knit all the way around, and the row after that will be a reduction. And I will continue to reduce my stitches until I have 12 stitches on needle 2 and 6 stitches each on needles 1 and 3. And then at that point we'll use the Kirschner stitch to finish it off. Alright, I finished my toe reduction. I have 10 stitches on the front needle and 10 stitches on my back needle. And I've set up for the Kirschner stitch by knitting to the end. So I'm right there at the end. Flip it over so that the top needle is where the yarn comes off. I have my tail. I cut about a 12-inch tail, and I've got my needle ready to go, my darning needle. So to do the Kirschner stitch, set your stitches up, and the first one, you come through just like a knit stitch, and then pull that off the needle and pull the string with yarn through, and then we'll do the back stitch, and you do a purl off of that one. Or wait, no, you purl the front. Purl here. Now we go to the back stitch and purl off the back stitch. Pull that through, and then do a knit. Okay, then we come up to the front, knit off the front stitch, purl, leave that on, purl off the back, and knit, leave that on. So you can see how it's starting to weave together. Okay. So, knit off the front, and purl off the back, and then knit. You continue until you get that done, and then we weave in the ends.